Welcome to the IPL Power List, where we rank all the IPL teams based on what we have seen so far. This isn't your mum's points table. We are peering through the looking glass here, looking at home schedule, pitch conditions, and opposition strength. This week, we are looking at the teams batting and bowling to see how they rank. Strap in.
If you need a VPN, go Nord. Use nordvpn.com/Kimber to get a 2-year contract with a discount, plus 4 extra months, plus gifts in some markets. It's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link is in the show notes. Protect your computer like a blocker protects the stumps with NordVPN today.
Rajasthan, well, they look like the best team. They still feel an injury away from falling apart, and the one issue I have is in the last 3 games, they have played incredibly poor teams. Their batting seems about par to me. Only 3 of their batters have scored over 30. Jaiswal basically hasn't made a run. Hetmeyer has faced 20 balls. But because the other 3 have made big scores, it hasn't mattered as much. But they only need their batting to be around par anyway. But they'll feel better if they can spread the runs out to a few more players. They beat RCB on a flat wicket after going in with a bowler less and using Riyan Parag. Their worst bowler is probably Ashwin at the moment, and outside of not taking wickets, I think he's doing fine. Avesh Khan has looked good enough as their 5th or 6th option as well. There are no obvious weaknesses here. Their next games are home against Gujarat and then away against Punjab and KKR. They should get by against Gujarat at home, then they only have to split the away games and they'll give themselves a 6-1 record. Pretty good. CSK, well, they went 0-2. They lost at Delhi and at Sunrisers. Finally, they went on the road and it did not go well. What's all that about? Losing to Delhi seems, unforgivable? And it has them briefly back in the pack. And it's a bit of a messy middle if you look at the points table at the moment. They're going to want to string a couple of wins together and get up the comfy end of the table very soon. Their batting is, par? I'm not actually really feeling their batting all that much at the moment. Daryl Mitchell has not shored it up. Ravindra is not a like-for-like with Conway. Rahane doesn't look like the 2023 model. And Gaikwad hasn't actually started yet. Yet, I still think as a team, it isn't bad. So I'm going to go with par because I expect some of these players will do better as the tournament goes on. Their bowling, high. It's weird when you look at it individually, but as a team, it is working. Partharana and Mustafiza are taking so many wickets that they are propping the side up a little bit. But those are clearly 2+ bowlers right at the moment, and Jadeja and Tikshana aren't going for any runs. And bloody Deshpande has exchanged wickets for Econ on what I would say is the most surprising twist of this season so far. I wouldn't mind it if Chahar found a little bit more early innings form. The next games are versus KKR, at Mumbai, and at LSG. I'm really looking forward to the KKR match because they should be desperate in that one, and it might tell us a little bit more about them. They really need to go 2-1 in this stretch, and that is all about the KKR game for me. If they win that, they're even a chance of going 3-0 in this. But they are a danger of going on the road and only winning 1 out of those games, which means they could be 1-2. The fluctuations here are so massive. The team looks like it should be better than what we've seen over the last week or so. KKR, their recent record is 1 game that they won at Delhi. It's hard to get a real feel for them so far, as we haven't seen them play at Rajasthan Royals or CSK yet, or even all that much. Sunrisers is the only good team they've gone up against. Did someone actually forget to schedule them games? Their batting is so high right now. They are scoring at 2 runs a ball basically and averaging 40 runs per wicket. These things must and will come down eventually, but that's where we are at the moment. Surely Narayan can't do this all season long. In fact, their leading scorers at the moment are Narayan, Dre Russ and Phil Salt. No one was expecting that. I think below the raw numbers, it's a little bit more messy, but it's working at the moment. Their bowling is par. They're taking wickets at the highest rate of anyone right now, and obviously runs per over is not on their side as they have bowled on some pretty flat pitches. But that makes their wickets, I think, even more impressive. The big issues right now would be Mitchell Starc and Varun Chakravarti. They need at least one of these to be better, and probably both. The next games are at CSK and then 2 home games against LSG and Rajasthan Royals. Now we're talking. In just over a week's time, we'll know a lot more about this side. Is this a team that has a soft early season, or is it the real deal? But because they already have 3 wins, even if they go 1-2, they're still going to be 4-2. And they also have 2 home games here, so they could actually go 2-1. And what about LSG? Well, they have won 2 on the trot. They won at RCB and then at home versus Gujarat. They beat a poor RCB side, but on the road. And then they stole one against Gujarat, which had as much to do with them playing well as it did with Gujarat playing, well, just shitting the bed. So far, I think they've beaten the better teams when they've played them and lost to the good one. I think that's probably where they are. Their batting is par. I don't love their batting, but Puran in form is always really nice. 3 other players have also scored 100 runs. So I think it's fine, but it's a long way from elite. Their bowling is above par. They are nowhere near Rajasthan, but the numbers suggest that they are the second best bowling team so far. I don't really believe that, and I think they've overachieved a little. Yash is taking wickets though, and Krunal is having a near career year, and Bishnoi hasn't even always needed to worry about bowling out. I like this spin a lot, but I worry about this seam if Naveem can't get any better. Their next games are versus Delhi and then at KKR. So they should win their next game, which should be enough to get them into the playoffs with a really strong early record. But KKR should be favourites at home. So even if they end up at 4-2, it means that they're a really good big chance of getting a playoff spot because of all those mid teams that are behind them. However, I think it is fair to say that the first 5 games of this season is quite soft.
The Sunrisers won versus CSK. They only played 1 game this week, but it was a very good one because they knocked off the yellow team. That gets them up to a 500 record, which I think seems about right for what we have seen from them so far. Their batting has been huge, second best average and runs per over. And some of that RPO is because of the record-setting wickets that they've been on. But they also have 4 guys with over 100 runs, so it's very well spread out. Also, Head, Abhishek and Klaasen all look like they can win them a game at the moment. Their bowling is, well, way down. Natarajan and Cummins are both doing very well. The rest of their bowling is not. Bhuvi cannot get a wicket. Makandi and Unadkat look like they're going to struggle all the way through the tournament. And they have already cycled through Umran, Washington and Marco and got poor results out of all of them. Hasaranga is a massive loss. Their next games are at Punjab and RCB. In fact, if you look at their schedule after the CSK game, they have 2 matches in 15 days. And they're both away. But they are against 2 of the poorer sides, and I would like them to go 2-0, but I think 1-1 is more likely, which leaves them pretty much exactly where they are at the moment.
And then we have Gujarat, and I've got them written down as 1-1 here because I was writing this during the game and I thought they would win, but they didn't, did they? They lost the game to Punjab, and that hurts twice because they were on top against a poor team and at home. Actually, it hurts 3 times. They were also massively on top against LSG as well. And they really could have gone 2-0. Having said that, they've played really poor cricket to lose these games as well. So, I don't know. And their batting is poor. They have so many guys who just seem to get stuck. And I feel like Miller and Gill need to do almost all the work. Like at the moment, my only plan for this team to make more runs would be for Gill to score 600 plus runs and Miller 450. Their bowling is above par. I love their death bowling and Noor Ahmed. But they do really need to find a way to get more wickets early on. It's not as strong there. Their next games is at Rajasthan Royals and then versus Delhi. They are playing the best team away after coming off a loss, and I expect them to be 2-4 coming into the match against Delhi that they should win, pulling them back to 3-4. That probably feels about right looking at this side at the moment.
Punjab lost at the Titans and they won versus LSG. Let's be honest, they stole the LSG game with a late flourish, and that saved their record, or at least gave it some balance. But their loss against RCB earlier in the tournament looks worse by the day. However, they are at a 500 ratio with only 1 home game. Their batting is par? I suppose they're just holding in there is how I would put it. And it's kind of working how they planned. Dhawan is batting long and everyone else is making a couple of runs, but quickly. I still don't feel great about it, but hey, their bowling is slightly under par. Their overall numbers actually hold up well for par. But they have 3 bowlers with good numbers and 3 with terrible. And 2 of their frontliners are going at more than 11 runs and over. So their next games are versus Sunrisers, Rajasthan and Mumbai. 3 home games in a row. If they could squeeze by the Sunrisers and take down Mumbai, it doesn't matter if they lose to Rajasthan because they will be 4-3. I think they'd take that. And looking at the fact that they're playing at home and they haven't done a lot of that, I think they're a good chance at ending up 4-3. And if they can't end up 4-3, that might be them done as playoff fringe contenders.
Mumbai have a 1-1 record. They lost versus Rajasthan and they won versus Delhi. Both those games were at home. They beat the poor team and they lost to the good one. That has them at 1-3. But if you think about the game against the Titans they should have won, they're not that far from being a 500 team. If you are a Mumbai fan though, it probably doesn't feel like that. Their batting is subpar. They are set up to hit sixes and they are trying, but none of them can actually stay in. all that long. They also have hitters who have got stuck a few times as well. And I still believe that they can get better with the bat. Sky has, basically not played, but it just hasn't worked exactly the way that Mumbai would have wanted it to at the moment. However, their bowling is terrible. They are going at 10 runs and over, and they're not taking any wickets at all. With Bumrah going for no runs and Kotsia taking wickets, they have already burnt 2 left-arm quicks, and they don't have any spin. I honestly couldn't tell you who their third best bowler is at the moment, and it's probably Tushara, and he's not in the side. Their next games are versus RCB, CSK, and one at the Punjab home ground. 2 games at home are nice, and even the one against the Punjab Kings is pretty gettable. I can see them going 2-1 here as a real possibility, but it will have to be from them hitting sixes, and that is a very high-risk strategy. RCB, it's over, right? They have played 3 games at home and still have a losing record, but they have played a lot of teams at the top of the table, and so I expect some wins from here, but it might be too late. Virat has 300 runs and Faf has 100. No one else has any. But Lomro and Dinesh Karthik have looked good, just not actually faced all that many balls. But it's not pretty. They need to make a lot of runs, and they are not. Their bowling is awful. They have no spin, an all-rounder who's being overbowled. Mohammad Siraj will not turn up. They're going at 9.4 runs and over with no wickets and averaging 40. And if you think about it, they've actually got better with their bowling because they dropped Alzari Joseph after making him bowl so many bounces. Their next games are at Mumbai versus Sunrisers and at KKR. It would be hard to see how they go 2-1 on their current form and also playing on the road. But let's say they get their act together and they take down Mumbai. They could still split the other 2, although it seems unlikely. Delhi, their recent record is 1-2. They had a win versus CSK, which I still don't understand. They lost at KKR and they lost at Mumbai. I love the fact that they've won a single game and it was against CSK. But they really do look poor. KKR hammered them, and Tristan Stubbs made the game against Mumbai look a lot closer, but they were out of that for a long time. Their batting is low. They lose a wicket every 24 runs, which has them dead last. They score quick, but they need their batters to stick around a lot longer. They'll be happy with Stubbs' return to form, and picking Shaw has certainly helped. Their bowling is lower than low. They go at 10 runs and over, and don't take any wickets. Norkia, just on right at the moment, cannot bowl at the death. They have 1 spinner until Kuldeep comes back. And I honestly don't know how they can take wickets regularly without Kuldeep. And their bowling is not particularly strong when he is in the side either. Their next games are at Lucknow, at Gujarat, and also a home game versus the Sunrisers. It's 2 away games, but 3 tricky games in total. Their season is already probably over, but what we're wondering now is if their batting can cause some issues for teams with poor bowling lineups. So the Sunrisers game might be one to take note of. And that has done us for another power list. I hope you enjoyed it, unless I got your team wrong, which I definitely didn't. We will be back again next week, but please like, subscribe, and if you agree with every single word, say this in the comments, that Jarrod is pretty good. A lot of people complain that I'm not a former cricketer, and so that I don't really know the game. Well, you know what they can't claim? That I don't know desks. I've been using desks for years. I'm a collector of desks, old and new, and I'm sitting on a new one right now. I'm the Don Bradman of sitting at desks. So when I tell you that the E7 Pro next generation height adjustable desk from FlexiSpot is legit, this is like Michael Jordan talking to you about sneakers. This desk holds 160 kilograms. It is as stable as anything I've ever seen, and it has under-desk cable management. But really, the main skill here is that this desk rises and falls at the push of a button, and it moves super quick. And it has so many settings that remember your favorite heights. It really does it all. And I could not recommend the E7 Pro from FlexiSpot anymore, even though I am currently sitting on one of FlexiSpot's BS12 Pro multifunctional, adjustable, upgraded fabric, ergonomic chairs. My butt and computer have never been happier than when using one of FlexiSpot's products. So get over to their page right now for big savings.